Hello everyone, how's it going? In this video, we will take a look at the when expression in Kotlin. The when construct in Kotlin is a replacement for a switch statement which you might have worked or used in Java. It works basically the same as the switch statement, which means that it evaluates a section of code among different alternatives. Since when in Kotlin is an expression, which means that it can return a value. In Kotlin, when can be used in two ways. So we can use when as a statement and we can use when as an expression. Let us now see how we can use a when in Kotlin with an example. So we are going to create a variable. So I'm going to call it my number and it will be of a type integer and I'm going to assign it equal to 1. To use the when construct, we type when followed by a set of parentheses which takes in the argument. The argument of when expression compares with all the branches one by one until some match is found. So I'm going to pass my number as an argument inside. Now we are going to define different branches and the argument will be compared with each branch until we have a match. So I'm going to type if my number is 1, I'm going to run some piece of code, and if my number is 2, I'm going to run some piece of code here. And if my number is neither 1 nor 2, I'm going to do an else block. So this is the basic structure of a when expression in Kotlin. So if my number is 1, I'm going to print and I'm going to type my number is 1, and if it's 2, I'm going to print my number is 2. Otherwise, I'm going to print my number is neither 1 nor 2. So now I'm going to run the program to see the output. So here we can see my number is 1 because we have set my number to 1. So what really happens is the value in the argument is compared with each of these branches. So it will come down here and it will check if my number is 1, it's going to print this. It's going to execute this branch. So if it's not 1, it'll come down here and it will execute this branch. And if it's neither 1 nor 2, it will execute the else branch. We can also make this when expression a bit more concise. So what we can do is if we have a single statement inside of each branch, we can remove the set of parentheses. And it goes on the same line. So if we have a single statement, we can remove the set of parentheses. And we can do the same thing with the else branch. So now if we run the program, and we can see that we get the same output. I think it's building the program, and once it's done, we're going to see the same output in the output window down below. Yep, and here we can see my number is 1. When can be used as a statement with or without else branch. If it is used as a statement, the values of all individual branches are compared sequentially with the argument and execute the corresponding branch where condition matches. If none of the branches satisfied with the condition, then it will execute the else branch. We can also use when without else branch. So it will just compare the argument with all the branches. If there is no match, it will just exit out of the when statement and it won't print anything to the output window. So since we don't have any else branch, I'm going to remove this. It's not going to print anything if my number is not equal to 1. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to set the value of my number equal to 10 and I'm going to run the program and we'll see the output. And our program is now up and running, and here we can see that we don't have anything in the output window because we deleted the else branch. And now we are going to see how we can use the when statement as an expression. So if when is used as an expression, the value of the branch with which the condition is satisfied will be the value of the overall expression. Alright, so we know that an expression in Kotlin is something that returns a value. So when we are using when as an expression, the returned value will be from the branch which matches with the argument. So we are going to modify our program a bit. So if my number is equal to 1, I'm going to return my number is 1, and if it's equal to 2, I'm going to return my number is 2. Otherwise, I'm going to return my number is neither 1 nor 2. And since we are using when as an expression, I'm going to store the result in a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and define one. I'm going to type var and I'm going to call it result, and it will be of type string. Now we are going to run the program and see the output. So before we run the program, I missed something. I'm not using the value of the result anywhere inside of this program. So I'm going to print the value of the result. And now we are going to see the output in the output window down below. So we are waiting for the program to build and finish. Okay, so our program is up and running, and we can see my number is 1 printed down in this output window. One important thing to keep in mind is if when is used as an expression, the else branch is mandatory unless the compiler can prove that all possible cases are covered with the branch conditions. We can also use multiple branches of conditions separated with a comma. So what do I mean by that? So what I'm going to do is if my number is equal to 1 or 3 or 5, I'm going to return my number is odd. And if my number is equal to 2 or 4 or 6, I'm going to return my number is even. Otherwise, I'm going to return my number is, let's say, out of range. So we can use multiple branches of conditions separated with a comma if we need to run a same logic for multiple choices. So I'm going to run the same logic if my number is equal to 1 or 3 or 5. And in the similar way, I'm going to run the same logic if my number is 2 or 4 or 6. And now I'm going to run the program and we can see the output. So our program is up and running and we can see my number is odd because the value of my number is 1. If I change it, let's say to 5, it will execute this branch and it will say my number is odd again. So here we can see my number is odd.